Joining us in the studio right now, George Tunis from Hardwire. Good morning, George.
What is happening?
How are you?
It's a good day.
Thanks for coming up this way and finally doing this because you have such a great story and it needs to be told.
Yeah, we try not to tell it that often. We just
I know I'm going to spoil everything for you.
You usually do.
You got
just ask his girlfriends.
But you've got to. I mean, Hardwire is the company, and I was privileged enough. I appreciate it. I got invited down. You did a big event. We'll share what that was. But can we go back to the beginning of Hardwire?
The very beginning?
Yes. Like I learned something about Hardwire before it became what we know it as today. So what was Hardwire?
Which part? The very
beginning.
The part where I thought I was going to be famous and they would cord off my room at the University of Delaware because I had developed a planing hull catamaran.
Not that part, but I didn't know. Okay, I didn't know that.
Way back when I thought fame was instant.
Okay, so no, but I look forward to hearing that part too.
It goes back.
Okay, let's go to that one. What did you do?
That was a long time ago. I said before I used to work down here for Peck Miller.
Okay,
and we were the motorheads. We were running all the jet skis out of 67th Street.
Okay,
kind of before we figured out where the sewer treatment plant was, but we didn't need to know that at the time. But we were running jet skis, and we got into planing hulls, and I was like, man, somebody can make a faster sailboat. And this was pre-windsurfing. So anyway, long story short, start the sailboat company, and then windsurfing invented, and everybody moved on to windsurfing.
Oh.
It was like the guy at AOL where he's like, oh, yeah, I just did this deal with Time Warner. And then they invented cable motors. And you're like, oh, no.
Damn. Oh, no, that part I didn't hear. But no, there was something structured, like the actual hardwire.
Oh, yeah. The Hardwire really started out doing earthquake rehab. So we were doing all kinds of buildings over in Europe. Before rebar was invented, they were still building buildings. And then every time there's an earthquake, half of Italy falls down, which is a problem.
Right.
And so we were strengthening buildings using Hardwire, the material, and then 9/11 hits, and we're just like, we get in. I'm like, look, I'm not in good enough shape. I'm not brave enough. I'm not gonna go be a Marine. I wanted to be.
Okay.
But it was like, all right, let's just start Team Egghead. Let's just go to work for these guys. Whatever they need, let's figure out what they need.
All right. So that early part of the story, the structural thing, I had no idea about that. So now, what did they really need? What did you?
This was, Iraq, Afghanistan's happening.
Yeah.
It was really ugly in Iraq. And I remember seeing like the first IED. So first IED goes off, and I'm like, what's an IED? I was like, well, that'll be a passing thing. And then there were more, and there was more and more. And then our guys were getting chewed up over in the fight. And we got discovered through our congressman at the time, introduces us to Tony Tether. That's like the Wizard of Oz. This guy was the head of DARPA. I get his personal cell phone and his personal email, and email the guy at 4:30 in the morning. He emails me back at 4:35. And by 5 o'clock, he's like, I need you to come to DARPA. I was like, really? Okay. And I'm going to see this guy, and it was Leo Cristata, the longest name I've ever heard in my life.
Okay.
So we show up, and we're here to see Mr. Cristata. They're like, you mean Leo? And they're like, we know anybody that gets his name wrong doesn't know the guy.
Okay.
So why don't you come see this guy, Leo? It's like Madonna or Bono. It's like he's that famous. And you go see this guy, and he's sort of... He's very Greek. So from the Greek Isles, super, super intelligent man, super nice man. But he sort of looks like a terrorist. And I'm like, oh my God, this is a DARPA hard test. You go in, they introduce you to a terrorist, and then you're supposed to tell the terrorist your secrets, and then they kick you right back out. That wasn't the case at all. And off we went.
So went with what? Now let's get to the Hardwire we know today.
Yeah, Hardwire we know today. We really got ahead of the EFP problem. So there's explosively formed penetrators, EFPs. Okay. The guy, General Soleimani, that we had to send to Hellfire to go see not too long ago, he was importing those into Iraq, and they were shooting 7 at a time at our MRAPs and just taking the whole top of the trucks off. So we really got our start by armoring 125 trucks a week.
And what made you, how did you guys create a armor better than the what is it about Hardwire's armor that was better than the other armor.
The other armor.
What made
Yeah, tell
George
us all your secrets.
I'm not asking for all your secrets, but well, it's already out there now. But,
yeah.
But I'm just saying, what made you? Who thinks I could do this?
Well, sometimes the number one thing is get off the couch.
Okay.
So yeah, we always think we can do it.
Don't be laying on the couch.
Don't be laying on the couch. If you're on the
laying
couch,
there
get
like
up.
Greg.
Everybody has those moments like, there's got to be a way, except this guy found the way.
Yeah.
Then just go back to the couch.
I got to tell you, you go out there, and every time we'd go out to the blast range, we're like, we got it. And then, all day long blowing stuff up, you'd be like, we don't got it. And
That sounds pretty cool still, though.
Well, we just kept trying, and it's very humbling. Yeah. But there was a guy that worked for us who's passed away that was attached to the Deltas. He was a thermobaric. He was one of the grandfathers of the thermobaric weapons that we used to bust up the bunkers.
Okay.
He was over there for a while, attached to a Delta operation before we actually moved into Iraq. Well, long story short, we hook up. He starts working for us, and amazing man. And he's like, he had the best pieces of advice. He's like, George, to kill a chicken, you got to know how to raise a chicken. And I'll never forget that. I'm like, what is he talking about?
Yeah, really. I was about to ask
this is
you.
an explosives expert, like a guy. And you're like, what in God's name is this man talking about? And what he was trying to teach us at the time was, he's like, to understand how to stop a weapon, you got to be able to build a weapon. So he started teaching us how to build weapons. Okay. Out of all kinds of stuff, because that's what the bad guys were doing. They were building weapons out of all kinds of stuff.
Okay.
And there's one in particular, piece of copper, exactly it looks like a copper ashtray. That's all it is. But it'll go through 6-8 inches of steel.
Wow.
Like it's nothing. So Lance got us on it. We started. He knew it was going to show up. He goes, George, you can bury these things. You can put them in the wall. He goes, they just put the cement right over top of them. And he goes, you'll never see them, not on a thermal camera, not nothing. And he goes, when they go off, they don't care about that wall. These things go like 100 yards. And he goes, it looks like it's 2 pounds. It's 2 pounds of copper is what it is. And he goes, it looks like a minnow, followed by a bigger minnow, followed by another minnow sometimes, and then followed by a bass. So if you can imagine a bullet that looks like that weighs 2 pounds, that's going 5 times the speed of a bullet, that's not easy to stop. And we figured out how to. We just got its number. We know the chicken.
You raised the chicken.
You got to raise the chicken.
Right.
But and how did you wind up here in your location where you are? And Hardwire is in Pocomoke. I want people to understand that this product, what you make, what Hardwire does, has saved lives, like countless lives around the world. And it's right here on the Pocomoke River.
Yeah.
That's really cool. For anybody who doesn't understand
it really is. It's unbelievable. And so how did you wind up in your location?
It's funny. I had sold a company from that boat company, and it turned into other stuff. And I moved back down here because I love it. Like, this was always, I used to come here on vacation, and I loved it.
You're originally from
Delaware.
Okay.
Kind of grew up in Delaware, but the Delaware beaches are a little snooty, so I like to get up to Ocean City.
All right.
Working man's beach up here.
Okay.
This was just always my favorite place to come. And the surf's way better, so that's duh. You would definitely move to Ocean City. Well, I moved here, and then I realized, like, once I got going, I had outgrown my garage, and I needed a M1 zoned industrial space, which in Delaware, they're a dime a dozen. They're everywhere. Down here, everything's zoned agricultural until you get down into the hub zone of Pocomoke, where there's a whole bunch of old canneries, and there was an old T-shirt factory that I took over. Billy Regan sold me my very first building.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, super great guy.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, Billy, thanks, man. The roof leaked. None of the electricity worked. But no,
he's great at promotional items, not at being a landlord.
all seriousness, it was on the water, so it was beautiful. It's beautiful waterfront down there. You got access into the Chesapeake.
Yeah.
And then, man, the war hits. DARPA starts funding us. We're like, let's go to town. We got 9 months to build a factory to start doing 125 trucks a week. We had to start delivering in 5. So we knocked down the Campbell Soup canning company that looked like a movie set. I mean, it looked like Freddy Krueger's Nightmare meets Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It was. I'd walk in there with 4 or 5 grown men, and we'd all be like, "Can we go now?" Like, I'm afraid. Will you hug me?
Well, you certainly turned it into something that you're not afraid of.
Yeah, no, it's
beautiful.
It's beautiful down there. It's like a beautiful spot, great place to go to work, and I got the best team in the world. I mean, it's the land of misfit toys, but they stroll in, and we don't keep all the toys, but the really good ones are the ones that make it, and it's a family, and we've expanded from truck armor into everything from tanks to body armor, and body armor's that's really where the rubber meets the road. It gets really personal at the body armor level.
I had a opportunity, like I said, to come down, and you had an event. It's called the Saves event.
Yep.
And they had 3 officers who were saved by Hardwire.
Yep.
I mean, the only reason these 3 guys were there was because of you guys.
Yeah,
And I say you guys, you're a team. I mean, you guys are a team. I had a chance to talk to a couple guys. Here's some of your guys and what we talked about. We listened to 3 people that you and your team are in some way, shape, or form responsible for saving their life. How do you describe how you feel? You know,
at first it was just 3 other gentlemen talking, but after actually hearing what they went through, especially TJ, knowing that such a small portion of what we handled actually is what saved his life. It gave me goosebumps, man.
I can't wait to tell my wife and son about this. I really can't. It was not what I expected. You know what I mean? The energy and the reality hits you. You hear about a police officer getting saved, but when you hear that officer tell his story, it's neat to think that armor probably passed through my hands. That's really neat. It's not just a job. It's a job that doing a job, doing it well, and this stuff is tested, tried and true. So it's just awesome knowing that it's someone's lifeline. It's really going to make a huge difference.
It's pretty spectacular knowing that we get to handle something that most just take as a job. I do take it as a profession to try to save lives. I can't do it any other way, so I can do it here.
You cut these abstract pieces out, then somebody else assembles them, and then they get shipped out to who knows where. And then to see these people today who were home with their families that night because of what they were wearing that we made here in this building, it was a really strong. It was really strong.
Yep, that's what your guys had to say, and it was true. I didn't make anything, but I sat there, man. It was strong. It was powerful.
It's amazing, because I've seen a couple of these events, and now that we have so much armor on the street, and it's the lightest weight, thinnest, best in the world, and Kevin Creed, the one guy from South Carolina, just who broke us all up, amazing man. He was serving a murder warrant, going after a bad guy in a trailer. I mean, that's just creepy.
Yeah.
I mean, now you're into serious creepiness. He's at the last door. There's the last gap he's looking at. He kicks it with his foot. And then in his words, he said, the world took off at 5,000 miles an hour. And in his partner's words, Jason, his commanding officer, he said he felt like he was in the Matrix. So they're both experienced like incredible temporal distortion. And he goes, I didn't even know. I knew it was bleeding from my arm. He got grazed on his arm. But he got shot right in the neck. The very first shot hit him right in the neck. And that little piece of armor right there is only as wide as your collar. And it only hit about a half inch off one edge. And he goes, I didn't even know I was hit in the neck. And some of that's adrenaline. But some of that, and most of that, is just all the testing we do to spread the load out, so it goes around your neck instead of loading up. The guy walked away with a hickey.
It's unbelievable. Which you couldn't explain that to his wife. I don't know the hickey.
I don't know why.
I don't know.
I got shot in the neck. Yeah, that was it, honey.
But really, and Emily showed me the piece that you're talking about. It's such a small piece, but boy, what a difference that makes.
Yeah,
saved his life.
It did not just saved his life. It saved. So we were having dinner with him the first night at Bob Ciparelli's place, Big Sip's place, which was just to die for food. If you guys.
He carried in, he carried in from Carrabba's.
Of course he did. Man, I've never had better Carrabba's in my whole life. But anyway, we were over there getting to know him, and Kevin gets up, and I thought he went to the bathroom, and I just met his commanding officer. I'm like, is he okay? Got up. He's been gone for a while. He's like, oh no, he's putting his son to bed. His son's going to bed and wanted to talk to his dad, and his little boy's 11. And then you realize right away, we didn't just save that guy.
Right.
We saved that little boy. That little boy would have been growing up without a father right now. And that is exactly why we do what we do. And that was a theme kind of across all the officers was, look, if they have the most dangerous job you guys can imagine out there. I mean, these guys are serving 6 warrants a day.
Yeah, I mean, the SWAT guys, the numbers were huge.
Yeah, huge numbers of incredibly dangerous situations, which it's just a shame that we put these guys in that situation every day. I think some of the liberal DAs that are letting a lot of bad guys out on the street should go do 3 days of a SWAT officer's work in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
I don't think they'd let them back out on the street.
Probably not.
Especially when you're the point man. They call it being on the X.
Yeah.
You're the front guy. So if somebody's going to shoot at you, and all three guys were shot through the wall or through the door. So the bad guys know right where somebody's going to come in. Anyway, they got shot. They lived. They all had like really intense family experiences because it's a second chance to be with the people you love the most. And the people
one of the guys, his son was there at the event.
Yeah, Don's son was there. So one of the Philadelphia officers' sons was there.
Yeah, it's amazing, and I have to say, George, that your team shares in it. Like they really felt it. I mean, that's not just a job.
That was the point. It was connecting.
Yeah. Oh, I did.
You connect those dots.
Everybody I talked to, and I mean that's just 3 guys, but everybody I talked to there, man, they are all in.
Yeah, no, we have it's a gifted group of people, and they're of singular mind, and it's like to do the absolute best that we can, and the best is never good enough. So, it's a great place to work. We are looking for a maintenance guy, just to put a quick ad in.
Sure, yeah.
You're looking directly at me.
I looked at
I'm pretty booked up. But yeah, we'll put it out there.
I was thinking we could use Coach maybe as a way to plug up a bad pipe or something. We can shove him in there.
And I'll tell you what, if you are a maintenance person, you're looking for a gig, that's a hell of a place to work.
This is not normal maintenance. This is pretty high tech, high pressure hydraulics, a lot of thermocouples. If you can spell those words, then come see us.
There's a guy, Leo Capalulu.
Good old Uncle Leo.
I just think the story needs to be told. I'm trying to see if I can get some people I know on a more national scope to maybe look at you guys, because it's amazing. I mean, it makes you proud to be from the area. Mm-hmm. Seeing what I saw when I walked in those first the doors, and I was like, wow. Then they opened up the real doors, and I haven't even seen everything, and it's impressive.
It's a lot of hard work, and by a lot of brilliant people. It's kind of like making almost everybody's a grain of sand on the beach. Yeah. That's who we are. We're all just the grains of sand, and stuff passes through your hands and it goes to the next guy. And we always say, like, we're only as good as our weakest link, and we don't have any weak links.
That's great. That's impressive. The whole thing's impressive. Unreal. And Hardwire, I think it's hardwirellc.com, the website, if they want to check it out. Yep. Now, something else you make, okay. All right, we can do it real quick. Something else you make is the for the schools.
Yeah, school shields.
That's a big deal.
That's a passion of mine, and has been since Sandy Hook. We're just like fire extinguishers. You've got to put tools in the hands of the people that are under attack, because a lot of these things are 3-4 minutes long, and the first 3-4 minutes are the most meaningful. So we've been doing that locally, putting a lot of shields in schools. We just said after Uvalde, it's not going to happen on the Eastern Shore. We're going to take care of that, because it's not just terrible for the families or the teachers, it's terrible for the community. And by protecting the community, we keep the community operational, because schools keep us all normal. I can tell you, I had to get up early today, not just to come on the radio, but to get my little girl to school. So,
hey, she said something to you when you talked about that, right? With the shields.
Yeah, little Ellie. She's 5 years old, and we asked her what she thought. We're asking a lot of little kids from the region and medium-sized kids and collegiate-level kids. We want their opinion on what they think and how we can make the product better. And she just said, I was expecting her to say, yeah, it looks cool, or it's red, or she said, Dad, I'm just proud of you and Mom.
That's pretty cool.
And I was like, well, that's cool.
Yeah.
That was a reaction I didn't expect. Little kids always give me
I wish it was reciprocal.
Yeah. No, that's impressive. A 5-year-old to say that.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think we should be proud to have Hardwire here.
It's pretty cool.
It's beyond cool. I mean, it's life-changing.
And the thing was, like, having everybody here for the Saves event, we will have a lot more because of how welcoming the community was.
Senator Mary Beth Carrozza was there.
Yeah, she was there. And honestly, TJ, one of the SWAT officers, the great big guy, who came down, he was breaking up on stage and said he had a strained relationship with his daughter until he was in the hospital, and she dove on top of the bed. And, you don't know what you're missing until it's gone, so to speak. But he came busting in later in a meeting. He's like, I had to find you. He's like, city of Philadelphia, city of brotherly love, they didn't give me anything. And he's like, your state senator comes down here with a accommodation from the state senate. And I was like, man, the state senate can't agree on anything. This is amazing. But they agreed on those citations for these guys, and that made him feel like his job matters. And his job matters a lot, because without these guys, we're in deep yogurt.
It definitely matters. There's no question about it. And thanks to you guys at Hardwire. I mean, it's amazing. It really was, and I appreciated being part of that day.
Well, it takes a community. It takes all of us, and that's how that's how society runs. I heard Lee talking about society earlier, and it's just
I don't listen to him when he talks.
I usually don't either, unless he tells me what wetsuit to get.
Sorry, Lee.
Yeah, George, you're going to need the extra large short. I was like, oh no.
Well, George, thank you, and again, Hardwire. Can't say enough about you guys.
Yeah, pleasure to be here.
It really is good. I hope you got that maintenance guy out of this too.
Yeah, we need a maintenance guy.
All right, so
good. Or a girl, or a girl.
Call. What's the number to
Preferably with tattoos.
Okay. And you got to go down to Pocomoke for this, right on the river.
Right on the river.
Oh, your lunchroom is amazing. Everybody's out there on the deck having lunch. It's pretty cool.
That's when it's not blowing 40. But yes, but it is gorgeous. That isn't, like you said, you'd never been down to Pocomoke.
No.
We call it Pocadishu, like we kind of renamed it a little bit. But we love that town.
You should. I was impressed, man. I was like, I had no idea.
It's an undiscovered gem down there.
And when you get to Hardwire, it's really a gem. So, thanks, George. Again, George Tunis.